There are places in this world we don't search for, places that somehow find us. Often at moments when we feel farthest from ourselves. Nong Khai is one of those places. A quiet border town along the Mekong River, warm, slow, almost asleep. A place many travelers pass through, but few truly see. And yet, some find a new direction in their lives there. This is the story of me, Matteo. A man who never planned to go to Thailand, someone who simply needed distance. Air and a way to hear himself again after life had become too small. Too heavy under the wind of Nong Khai, I found more than escape. I found healing, trust, friendship, and a love as gentle as the wind over the river, growing stronger than every wall I had built around my heart. If you've ever gone somewhere, 'cause you were running from something, only to find something that rebuilt you, then you'll feel this story. Welcome to Farang Footprints. This is the Wind Over Nong Khai.
Asterisk, my name is Matteo. I'm 38 years old, a graphic designer from Zurich, or at least I used to be. In the last months, I'd felt more like a faded outline of myself, someone moving on autopilot. After my breakup with Elena, my world became painfully quiet. Days working from home dragged on endlessly. My apartment felt hollow. My career, once something I was proud of, felt like a dim light flickering in the background. I needed distance, space, air. That's how I found myself standing at Zurich. Airport with a ticket to Bangkok. I had booked twice, canceled once, and rebooked out of sheer desperation. Thailand wasn't a dream of mine. I knew almost nothing about it, but something inside me whispered, just go. Somewhere far enough for your mind to breathe. I watched the planes on the runway. They seemed more decisive than I had been in months. At 38, successful on paper, reliable, stable, but inside, I was a man who had lost the map to his own life. When boarding was called, a knot tightened in my stomach. Not fear, honesty. The kind that says, you're really doing this. I sank into my airplane seat. The cabin smelled of recycled air and that strange scent of new beginnings. I closed my eyes. Immediately, memories crashed in. Elena saying, we want different things. Me signing my resignation letter. My mother's soft voice. Matteo, you need to breathe again. I hoped Thailand could help me breathe. As the plane lifted off, something stirred inside me. Not pain, not panic. A tiny spark of curiosity, maybe even hope. I didn't know where this journey would lead. Only that I needed to be far enough away to finally hear my own thoughts again. What I didn't know was that my path wouldn't take me to beaches or nightlife, but to Nong Khai, where the Mekong carries stories and the wind speaks softly to those who listen. There, I would find something I thought I'd lost forever. Maybe even love. Bangkok airport hit me like a warm wave the moment I stepped out of the plane. Humid air, foreign languages, the smell of food I couldn't identify. My senses were overwhelmed, and strangely, that felt good. I spent one night in the city, unable to sleep. Bangkok was loud, alive, chaotic. Exactly the opposite of what I needed. The next morning, without much thought, I booked a train heading north, as far north as the line would take me. Somewhere quiet, somewhere with space. That's how Nong Khai appeared on the departures board, and for no logical reason, the name felt. Right. The train ride took almost a full day. Rice fields stretched endlessly. Villages flashed by like scenes from someone else's life. People smiled at me for no reason. Kids waved at the train as if it were a parade float. My chest felt lighter for the first time in months. When I arrived in Nong Khai at sunset, the world around me glowed orange. The Mekong shimmered like a sheet of molten gold, and the wind carried a warm, earthy scent I had never experienced. I stood there, backpack slung over one shoulder, feeling something I couldn't name. Not happiness, not excitement. Something quieter, Something like, "Arrival. I found a small guest house near the river. A Thai woman named Molly welcomed me with a smile so soft that my tired body instantly relaxed. You stay how long?" she asked. "I don't know." She laughed gently. "Good answer. Mekong help you decide." I didn't understand what she meant, but I felt the truth in her voice. My room was simple. A fan, a wooden bed, white walls, and a window facing the river. That night, with the ceiling fan humming above me, I lay awake listening to the Mekong. It wasn't loud, just a steady, deep sound like someone breathing in sleep. For the first time in a year, I didn't feel trapped in my own thoughts. Nong Khai didn't pretend to be anything. It simply existed peacefully and allowed me to exist with it. Little did I know that this quiet place was already shifting the course of my life. The wind over the river carried more than just air. It carried beginnings. The next morning, I wandered along the riverfront. Fishermen pulled nets from their boats. Elderly men practiced Tai Chi in slow, graceful movements. Monks in orange robes walked barefoot, collecting alms. Everything felt like a movie I had been dropped into. Eventually, I found a small riverside cafe. Wooden chairs, plants everywhere, soft Thai music playing in the background. I ordered a coffee and sat watching the Mekong drift lazily by. That's when I saw her. She was arranging pastries in a glass display. A woman with long black hair tied loosely, wearing a simple white blouse. Her movements were calm, precise. There was something peaceful about her. When she looked up, our eyes met. She smiled politely. "Good morning. First time here?" Her English had a soft, warm melody. "Yes," I replied. "First time in Nong Khai. Actually, first time in Thailand." She nodded as if she had expected that. "Welcome. I'm Dao." Dao. Her name meant star. Something in my chest shifted, a small ripple, barely noticeable. I told her I was staying at a guest house nearby. She asked where I was from and why I came. I gave her the short version. I needed space. She didn't pry. Instead, she said something that felt both simple and profound. Sometimes hearts need silence to remember their own voice. I didn't know it then, but I would replay that sentence for months. We talked for almost an hour. Not deep talk, just small things. Coffee, weather, local markets, the best places to watch the sunset. Yet every minute felt easy. When I finally stood up to leave, she gestured toward the river. "You should come back tonight. Sunset is beautiful from here." I hesitated. The old me would have said no. The tired me, the cautious me. But the wind along the river brushed against my neck, almost as if nudging me forward, Dot. So I said, "Okay, I'll come." As I walked back to my guest house, I realized something unexpected. For the first time since my breakup, I was looking forward to something, and that something had a name. I arrived at Dao's cafe just before sunset. The sky was already shifting into layers of orange, pink, and deep violet, colors I had only ever seen in travel magazines. But here they were, real and alive, stretching across the Mekong like a painting unfolding in slow motion. Dao waved when she saw me. She brought 2 iced teas and sat down across from me, something I didn't expect. I assumed she would be working, but instead, she rested her elbows gently on the wooden table and looked out toward the water. "Sunset is better when shared," she said. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We just watched the river breathe. Slow, steady, ancient. Dot, she was the first to break the silence. "People come to Nong Khai for many reasons," she said. "For peace, for work, for family, for forgetting." I swallowed. That last word hit deeper than I wanted to admit. "And what about you?" I asked. She smiled faintly. I came back here to remember. The wind brushed through her hair, and she tucked a strand behind her ear. Her eyes stayed on the river as she explained. My mother got sick 2 years ago. I left Bangkok to take care of her. When she passed, I stayed. This cafe was hers. I nodded slowly. I'm sorry. She breathed in softly. It's okay. This place reminds me of her. And the river. The river reminds me to continue moving. Her words didn't feel dramatic or rehearsed. They felt honest, like something she had lived and understood deeply. I found myself sharing more than I expected about Elena, about losing direction, about feeling squeezed by a life that once fit perfectly. Dao listened quietly. Without judgment, her eyes calm, steady, warm. When I finished, she said only one thing: you are not broken. You are transitioning. Like the river, always changing shape. The simplicity of her voice made something inside me loosen. The sun dipped lower, touching the horizon. The Mekong glowed gold, then amber, then a soft red. People along the promenade slowed their steps to watch. Dao stood up and pointed. Look, the river gives a blessing when the last light touches it. I watched as the sun disappeared behind distant mountains. For a breathless moment, everything felt still. Dao smiled softly. See? A good sign. I didn't know whether she meant for the river for the day or for me, but I felt something inside shift, something small yet undeniable, maybe hope, maybe trust, maybe the beginning of something entirely new. Over the next 2 weeks, my days took on a quiet rhythm, a rhythm I hadn't realized I'd been craving. I would wake early, step outside my guest house, and breathe in the warm morning air drifting off the Mekong. The world felt slower here, not lazy, just unhurried, as if life understood its own pace. After breakfast, I often walked to Dao's cafe, not because I needed coffee, but because something about her presence calmed me. She always greeted me with the same soft smile. Sometimes we talked for hours. Sometimes we barely spoke at all. And yet, those silent moments felt just as full as the conversations. I learned small things about her. She liked jasmine tea, but hated the smell of durian. She painted in her spare time. She preferred early mornings to late nights. She believed the river carried stories. She learned things about me too, that I used to draw obsessively as a child, that I feared disappointing people, that I'd forgotten what it felt like to wake up with excitement. Slowly, gently, without either of us saying it, we became part of each other's days. One morning, I arrived while she was setting up tables outside. She paused, looked at me for a moment, and said quietly, "You seem lighter now." I didn't answer right away, but I felt the truth of her words. My chest didn't feel so tight. My thoughts didn't loop endlessly. The world didn't feel like a burden. I said slowly, I think I'm breathing again. Dao's smile was small but real. The river helps. It listens without judging. One afternoon, rain rolled in suddenly. Warm, heavy drops drummed against the roof. The cafe emptied quickly. Dao and I stayed, sitting close at a corner table, listening to the storm. She looked at me, her eyes soft. "You don't need to rush away from pain," she said. "And you don't need to rush toward happiness either. Both will find you in their own time." Her hand brushed mine, just lightly, but the touch lingered like the warmth of sunlight. As the rain slowed and the air cooled, I realized something. I wasn't just healing. I was changing, and the reason was sitting right beside me. 3 weeks passed. My return ticket date was getting closer, a quiet reminder that my escape had an expiration, but the thought of leaving Nong Khai felt wrong, like waking from a dream too soon. One evening, as I locked my guest house door, Molly, the owner, looked at me knowingly. "You're thinking too much," she said. I laughed weakly. Seems like I do that a lot. She nodded. You came here empty. Now you are full. But full of what? That is your question. She wasn't wrong. That night at the cafe, I found Tao painting on the back terrace, a canvas filled with soft blues and warm earth tones. The river, but not exactly. More like the feeling of the river. She didn't look up when I approached. You're leaving soon, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. I inhaled. Yes, I think so. The brush froze in her hand. She exhaled slowly. Do you want to leave? The wind carried her words gently, but they hit me with the weight of a stone. I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know what I'm going back to. She put the brush down and finally faced me. Her expression wasn't sad, more like accepting. Nong Khai shows people who they are, she said, but it cannot choose for them. Her eyes held mine. Steady, open, brave, and I cannot choose for you either. Silence stretched between us. Not uncomfortable, just full. I wanted to say something that I cared for her, that she had become important to me, that she had helped me more than she knew, but the words tangled in my throat. So she offered me a gentle smile. If you leave, it is okay. If you stay, it is also okay. But choose with a full heart, not a scared one. That night, I lay awake in my room, listening to the Mekong outside. I thought about Zurich, about my old routines, about the loneliness that had grown like ivy around my life. Then I thought about Tao, her calmness, her strength, the way she listened without, trying to fix me. The river whispered outside my window, soft, steady, patient. And for the first time since arriving, I asked myself not what I should do, but what I truly wanted. The next morning, the wind along the river was stronger than usual, warm, restless, almost urgent. I walked to the cafe, my heart beating faster with every step. Tao was wiping down tables. She looked up when she saw me, and something flickered in her eyes. Hope, maybe? Or fear. I couldn't sleep, I said. She nodded slowly. I know that feeling. The river breeze swept between us, carrying the scent of wet earth and jasmine. I took a deep breath. I've been thinking about what you said, about choosing with a full heart. She folded the cloth in her hands, waiting. When I came here, I continued, I felt like a man running from his own life. But now I feel like someone becoming himself again. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, just enough for me to notice. I don't know what the future looks like, I said. But I know one thing. I'm not ready to leave Nong Khai. Not yet. Tao's breath caught softly, but she didn't speak. Her eyes said everything. I stepped closer. The river brought me here when I needed it most. But you're the reason I want to stay. For a moment, the world went still. Even the wind quieted, as if listening. Tao reached out and took my hand gently, not pulling me, not holding me back, just connecting. You don't stay for me, she whispered. You stay for you. And if our paths walk together, then I'm grateful. Her honesty, her clarity, it grounded me. I squeezed her hand lightly. For now, I want to be here. With you, with the river, with whatever this becomes. She smiled, the kind of smile that starts small and grows like sunrise over the water. Then stay, she said softly. Nong Khai welcomes you. The wind rose again, brushing against our arms, warm and full of movement, as if approving the decision. We stood together at the riverfront, watching the Mekong flow endlessly forward, not rushing, not fighting, simply moving, and I realized I didn't need all the answers. I just needed this moment, this place, this beginning. Under the wind over Nong Khai, I wasn't running anymore. I was living.
And that was my story. A story about how the wind over Nong Khai moves more than leaves on the trees, how it can shift a life, quietly, steadily, without force. I came to Thailand to escape. Instead, I found a place that helped me breathe again, a river that taught me to move forward, and a woman who showed me that healing doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it appears in small moments. Soft conversations. Shared sunsets. Sometimes we have to travel far to find the parts of ourselves we lost close to home. If you've ever had a journey that changed you, a place that softened you, a person who helped you find your footing again, I'd love to hear your story. Send it to farangfootprints@gmail.com. And maybe your footsteps will become the next chapter here on Farang Footprints. Until then, remember this. Sometimes all it takes is a single wind gust to move your life in a new direction. And sometimes that wind blows gently over the banks of the Mekong.